Pepper Young's Family. Pepper Young's Family is the true-to-life story of your friends, the Youngs. We'll be with them in just a moment after this message. The Young house is very quiet tonight. There's no Peggy running upstairs and down, calling out and laughing. For Peggy's en route to Chicago to visit Carter's family. And Pepper and his exuberant gang haven't yet returned from the station. Mrs. Young feels the quietness of the house as she sits alone in the living room. She remembers Mr. Young's parting words to Peggy. He told her that if she didn't have a good time, she could always come home. She could always come back to this house. Mr. Young doesn't yet know that their house is up for sale, and that while the children will always have a home to come to, it may not be this house that they all love. Well, Mr. Young has just put away the car, and he comes into the house looking for Mrs. Young.
Oh, Mary, where are you?
I'm in here, dear, in the living room.
Well, now, why aren't you out on the porch? It's a wonderful night.
Oh, I don't know. Just sitting in here, Sam.
Oh? Feeling kind of blue because your chick's gone?
I don't think so, darling. Sam, I was right in encouraging her to go to Chicago, wasn't I?
Oh, I guess so. But, well, Mary, there's no telling what's right and what's wrong. And we can't stop her now in any event. We might as well figure we're right. Or you were right.
But you were against it, Sam. You were terribly opposed to it.
Oh, well, I'm an old fusspot, you know. I'm crazy about Peggy, and I don't think anybody's good enough for her. And I don't want her to be subjected to any embarrassment.
I don't either.
But I guess everything's going to be fine, Mary. She'll have the time of her life. And it certainly will be an experience for her to visit in a house like that.
I suppose so.
Why, it'll be something for her to remember as long as she lives, whether she marries young Trent eventually or not.
But Sam, she looked so little and young, didn't she? Standing there on the steps of the train waiting to us.
Yeah, sort of young. After all, she isn't very old, you know.
No, she isn't.
Now, look here, Mary. You're worrying about her being on that train alone, aren't you?
No, Sam. Now, she's taken trips alone before. I'm not worrying. I'm just thinking about her. That's all.
Well, now, why don't you think about me? It's high time you thought about me.
Well, all right, darling. I'll think about you. Now, what shall I think about you?
Well, now, can't you think of anything without my having to tell you?
Well, I can think of how dear and sweet you are. What a good father.
Well,
Don't you like compliments?
I guess I do, Mary, when they're from you.
And I like them from you, too.
Well, all right, then. You're as pretty as a picture, and you're getting prettier every day.
Oh, now that is utterly ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
I know it, but you're 10 times prettier now than you used to be.
Of course I'm not. That's silly. Nobody's prettier at my age than they were at 18.
Oh, get out. You were too thin then.
Oh, Sam.
It's the truth. You were cute, but I like you the way you are today. I like the way you dress, the way your hair looks. I like everything about you.
Do you, Sam?
You bet I do.
Well, I love to hear you say that.
And I like this house, too. I like the place we live in.
We'll be back with the Youngs in a moment after this message.
I'd like to buy this house for us, Mary. I'd like to make some money and buy this house back.
I know you would, dear.
But I don't know just what's going to happen. Oh, I think we can keep on living here. I mean, we can pay the rent and all the rest of it, but... Mary, I've got to get something to do.
Oh, I know you do, dear.
It's getting all fired important. It's getting to the point where... Well, I'm worried, Mary. I am.
Oh, Sam, you'll get something.
Well, I'd better get something pretty quick. I don't want to repeat our little session of 2 years ago. I don't want to go through all that again. And I certainly don't want you to go through all that. I don't want you ever to have to move out of this house, Mary.
I know you don't, darling. I know you'd like to stay here forever.
You bet I would. And I'll see that we do, too. I'll get something. I'll round up something within the next week or so. I know I will. I just sort of feel it in my bones.
Well, that's fine, darling. I'm glad you feel that way.
I wish it was something besides a mere feeling.
You know, Peggy said the other day she'd like to be married from this house.
And she will be, too. She ought to be. Matter of fact, I can't imagine Peggy married from any other place.
She was so sweet, standing there in the door of the living room, telling me just how she'd like the room decorated, just where she'd like the altar to be, just where she'd like to stand and join hands with Carter.
Somehow it wouldn't be right for her to be married any other place.
No, it certainly wouldn't.
Well, Mary, just as soon as I round up a job now and get going again, I'm going to begin to make a few payments to Phillips on this house. I mean, if I can pay a little over the rent, just so as I can secure it, just so as he won't be able to, ever be able to put it on the market again.
Sam.
What's the matter, Mary?
Well, I wasn't going to tell you.
You weren't going to tell me what?
Nothing.
Well, now, what do you mean, nothing? Since when haven't you told me everything, Mary Young?
Oh, darling, I didn't want to worry you.
Well, what is it now? Bills?
No, isn't that it? But Mr. Phillips wants to sell this house.
Well, how do you know?
Because while you were away, Mr. Walters called and asked if he could show some people through.
Well, of course he can't. We're paying the rent right on the nose every month. We've got a right to stay here as long as we like.
No, we haven't, Sam. Didn't you rent the house with the understanding that if Phillips ever wanted to sell it, he could?
Well, sure. But he can't sell it, Mary. Nobody can sell a house right now. Real estate's dead as a doornail.
Yes, but some people did come, and they did look at it, Sam.
They did?
Yes.
Well, what did they think of it?
I don't know. The woman seemed to like it, and the man... Well, I don't know about the man. He was pretty quiet.
Well, Mary, what if someone does wander through here once in a while looking at the house? That doesn't mean they're going to take it, does it?
No. Oh, Sam, I hope not with all my heart. It was, it was just awful having them go through the rooms and feeling that perhaps we'd have to get out of here again and maybe never get back.
I know, Mary, I know. Why can't I make a decent living? Why can't I make enough money so you won't ever have to worry? So that you wouldn't have to go through this, so that you could have your home. Because this is your home, Mary. This belongs to you. This is your house.
I know. And you're doing everything you can, everything in your power.
Oh, I'm not doing a thing. I'm sitting here absolutely powerless, waiting for something to turn up, waiting and hoping and praying. And, Mary, being afraid to go and ask for a job.
Oh, Sam. Now, Sam, you're not afraid of anything.
Yes, I am. Really, I am in my heart, Mary, because I'm afraid of being turned down. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I wasn't going to admit it ever.
You won't be turned down, dear. You'll find something.
Mary, I've never got over that other time when I went to see my friends, all my so-called friends, and they were so glad to see me till they found out what I'd come to see them about.
But you've got a right to ask for a job if you haven't got one.
Sure, you've got a right to ask for a job, but that doesn't mean your friends can give it to you, Mary. They just haven't got it, that's all. There just isn't a place for you very often, and they're embarrassed, and they wish you hadn't come, and they try to pass it off, and they say that they'll let you know if anything turns up, and nothing turns up. Mary, I can't go through that again. I can't.
Well, you shouldn't either. You're too valuable a person.
That's right. Bolster me up, darling.
Well, it's true. You are, Sam. You can do anything.
Well, I've yet to prove it. That I can even find a place for myself. But, Mary, if I just get a chance, if I just get an opening, if I can just get something to do, I'll work my fingers to the bone, just so that you can keep this house, just so that child, that Peggy, that baby of ours, can be married from here.
Oh, Sam, I do hope you find something. Not for Peggy's sake, not for my sake, but for your own.
Well, Mary, what do you mean?
Just so that you know I'm right when I say you can do anything. Right when I say that you are the most wonderful person in the world.
Mr. Young smiled and patted his wife's shoulder. Nothing could ever shake Mary's faith in him. But he feels desperately that he must justify it. He must find work, or they will lose their home. And this time, perhaps for good. And now a message from our sponsor. Tomorrow, Peggy arrives in Chicago. Be sure to join us on Pepper Young's Family. John Scott speaking.